Hey everyone, welcome to Connie Reacts. I'm your host, and today we are reacting to episodes 5 through 8 of Season 6 of Adventure Time. So, yeah, we have another set of episodes here, and after the last set, I'm cautiously optimistic, I want to say. Because the show continues to prove itself to be good, very good. But there are still episodes that disappoint me, such as with last time, with James 2. James 2 was extremely disappointing as a payoff episode. As I mentioned last time, it was the payoff to the first James episode, and it really didn't do it well. It didn't conclude the story arc well, and for something that seemed like it was going to be this big, massive, important deal, they kind of just swept it under the rug. And, I mean, I get the idea that sometimes, like, they can build something up to be important and kind of uh, just go against the expectations by making it silly or fun in its payoff or whatnot. But that rarely ever works, and honestly, even if it does work, it's still kind of a slap in the face, in my opinion. In my opinion, you should always try to respect the build-up by having a proper payoff. And to do that, you honestly just need to make the payoff worth the build-up. I don't really like the idea of subverting expectations in that way because it makes it all seem worthless. Build-up is supposed to get you hyped and excited for what's to come. It's supposed to build up your anticipation for what's coming. If you subvert that in the end, it makes it feel like you were cheated out of something. It makes you feel like everything that, again, you built up throughout that time was a waste of time, and it didn't feel like it was worth it in the end. So, yeah. But it was still a good episode, and I made sure to point that out last time as well. It was still a well-made episode. It was still entertaining. It was still funny as hell. But as a payoff episode, which it wasn't good. Now, if it's also building something else up, if it's setting something else up, we'll see where it goes. And if in the end that makes it all better, then okay. It kind of makes me think of Ruby here, because if you remember in Ruby at the end of Volume 4, we see Yang on her motorcycle heading to either Ruby or Raven, and she clearly turns in the direction of Ruby. So at the beginning of Volume 5, when it said that she's heading towards Raven, it's jarring, because it's like, no, she was heading towards Ruby. We have that canonically built up. But Volume 5 then redeemed itself in that aspect by having it explain that she's kind of still going towards Ruby. She's just going to Raven to make the trip expedited, to make it quicker and easier. So it works out in the end. She's still going for Ruby, but she's just using Raven as a means to an end in this situation. So I'm hoping that they do something like that with Adventure Time here. I'm hoping that the, I guess, James 3 episode will be something, if they do one, will be something that kind of just brings everything together in the perfect way and explains and gets through everything properly. Though I'm not holding my breath with this show, because this show couldn't just do something weird and wacky for the hell of it. But anyways, the second episode from last week we also had was Finn kind of learning through building this tower to just chill out. To not be so vengeful and kind of lose his mind over what happened with his father and losing his arm and everything. And I mean, I said last week, I get what he's going through. I don't blame him for his actions, but that doesn't make his actions right. So, yeah. Now, as to where we're going in this week's set of episodes, or this just set of episodes in general, because it's not really this week's because I don't have a set schedule, but yeah, in this set of episodes, I have no idea. we could continue on with more of that. We could just go off in random directions. Now, of course, none of the rest of these seasons are going to be as long as the last season was. Season 5 was super long, and I still don't see there being a reason why. It like still doesn't make sense to me as to why it was extra long. It doesn't make sense to me. But what I can say is that I'm hoping for something good, and I feel like I'll at least get something good here. So we're going to begin this. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you at the reaction. We are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, it's been a while since this show has made me legitimately ask, WTF did I just watch? Like, what the hell was that? This show has had, of course, some really weird episodes, some really out there stuff, but it's been a while since I've really had to ask that kind of question. A lot of the show has, especially lately, has been a lot more story-driven and a lot more, I guess you could say, focused on different plot lines and stuff that have been built up throughout the series. And we kind of got a bit of that in this set, but it was also just a bunch of WTF moments chained together. So I guess let's talk about these. So the first episode we had here was Sad Face. And this one just kind of confused me. So apparently once a month, Jake's tail becomes sentient while he's sleeping and goes off to a tiny circus, becomes a sad blue-nosed clown, and I guess gets upset about this chipmunk that they're keeping captive as an act. I have almost nothing to say on this episode because I don't even really know what to say on this episode. Like, what do you say regarding that? It was, as you noticed, I barely had anything to even say when reacting because it's like, it's not that there's nothing to talk about. That's the wrong way to put it. It's that what is there is extremely difficult to figure out what to talk about. Yeah. I really don't know how else to put it. It's just like, it's so... I don't know. I'm not saying it was a bad episode or anything, but I wouldn't call it great. It just... It exists, and I don't know why it exists. What happened? Like... Moving on, I guess. I legitimately have nothing to say about that. What was the episode after that? Where is the episode after that? Okay, I found it. I can't get to the title screen. It's like, it skips like right from the black screen from the last episode to right before it. Or right after the title. The next episode, oh, Breezy. That's which one it was. This was probably the least weird of these episodes, and probably the most important. So, Finn is dealing with his romance situation. As we know, he had a crush on Bubblegum at one point. He was with Flame Princess, and he's thinking about them now, and because of it, he's kind of doing this thing where he's going around trying to do things for these different characters, and so he can get a kiss from them and stuff. Which is manipulative and wrong, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's just like, you kind of understand why he's doing it. Doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. And in the meantime, there's this bee named Breezy who's obsessed with his flower arm. And they end up becoming good friends, and then she ends up starting to like him. Like, not just like his flower, but actually seeming to like him. Which is interesting. Um, so much so that to save him from some other bees, she ends up giving away her freedom and becoming a queen. So she does see him again, and she sings a song to him that helps his flower bloom and create a new arm, which I'm confused on how that even works, but okay. And honestly, I enjoyed this episode. It was fun, it was entertaining, it was interesting. But it still kind of left me with that, like, WTF did I just watch feeling at the end. It was like, okay, Finn has his arm back now, that's cool. That's a good thing, obviously, but what's even happening here? Breezy as a character was fun. I actually really do like her as a character. Um, I kind of hope she returns at some point, but at the same time, it's like, I won't be, like, too upset if she doesn't. But yeah, that was definitely the most normal and probably the best episode of this set. Not knocking on the other episodes to knock on them, but still, I have to say. And then we got to Food Chain. Had a new opening, and Magic Man. Now, I've said before, I believe I have at least, I'm not the biggest Magic Man fan. I think his character's kind of annoying. He has potential, but it never goes anywhere. And honestly, this episode didn't do anything for him. It didn't do anything against him because he was barely in it, but basically all he was is he initiated something, and that's pretty much it. This episode was a drug trip, just straight up. And we haven't gotten one of those from Adventure Time in a while. Like, seriously, though, it's like Magic Man makes Finn and Jake go through the circle of life as caterpillars, small birds, bigger birds, and bacteria. And the visuals are the trippiest thing ever. Seriously, I think this was the trippiest episode of this show. And that's saying something. They're so freaking weird. The angles are just really weird. The colors, just everything that's happening. It gives you no time to really think about what you're seeing. It just throws everything at you so quick and so just insanely randomly that it's like, and then it's very repetitive to it, but somehow not in a negative way. I don't know how to say that, because it repeats the idea of the food chain over and over. It's like, oh, this is the food chain, and then like a few minutes later, no, this is the food chain. Did you hear about the food chain? And then at the end of the episode, there's this whole song about it, and it's like, what is happening? But again, because it's not done in a negative way, it doesn't feel like this big bad thing that it's being that repetitive, and it's like, what is this episode? What even? Why does this exist? And then Finn marries this caterpillar girl. Like, does that count as him technically, like, canonically being married, or what? And then there's the last episode, which is another one that's kind of more normal. It kind of went like crazy as hell, a little more normal, crazy as hell, a little more normal. This episode, I don't remember the name, and I can't get to it on skipping through Real Player at the moment, but so Finn and Jake realize they have way too much treasure in their vault, in their treasure vault, and they need to get rid of it all because it's just taking up way too much space and becoming a hassle. Also, I swear that, like, that psychic creature there, I swear we've seen that before in another episode, but I can't for the life of me remember what the episode was or what the context behind it was, but I don't care. I still love it. Um, but yeah, so they go to Wildberry Kingdom because apparently it's recently renovated and gotten bigger and everything. So they go there to spend their money, and they end up becoming obsessed with giving away money, but making the residents of Wildberry Kingdom do stuff to earn it. Um, and Jake admittedly goes a lot further. Finn actually sees that this is an issue and tries to fix it, going about it the wrong way, admittedly. And in the end, they almost get executed by a golden crown. Now, if you don't know what a golden crown is, if you haven't seen that episode of Game of Thrones, it's basically the concept where a person is executed by having molten gold poured over their head. It is very painful and very deadly. I mean, you have to think about it this way. Gold is a metal. This is molten gold. It is a molten metal. It's being poured over your head. Yeah, that's a bad thing. The fact that they featured something that horrifying in Adventure Time is both pretty freaking awesome and concerning. Now, because here's the thing. Not only did they bring up the concept of it, they showed it in execution. Finn and Jake obviously didn't get executed, but that one guard, I believe it was the one who kept accepting the bribes from Finn and Jake. He dead. Very dead. Like, holy crap, that is terrifying. Like, a lot of the kids who watch this might not get the full concept of that. But if you've seen Game of Thrones and you know what that is, or if you just know what that is in general, that is disturbing. Like, holy crap. I think I can barely speak. I think that is probably the darkest thing Adventure Time has done. And Adventure Time's gone to some dark territories before, sure. Um, but, like, oh my gosh, that gives me chills thinking about it. Because, legit, that would be one of the worst ways to go. Like, sorry, I legit get chills thinking about that because the first time I tried watching through Game of Thrones and I saw that scene and that episode, it's like I had mixed feelings because one, I hated the character who it happened to. He was one of the just most detestable characters in the show at that point for me. But at the same time, seeing that happen and just imagining that and just the thought of that kind of thing, it, it gave me chills then, and it terrified me just thinking about that. That is so horrifying. I cannot stress that enough. Adventure Time's a kids show, right? This is a show that was made for kids, that is advertised, and that is it's marketed towards kids, right? I mean, yes, this show's done some more mature and adult things, but so have a lot of kids shows. But I don't think I've seen much of any of them go this far. I mean, MLP's gone pretty far with showing things like xenophobia and communism in the show. And for a show called My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, showing that kind of stuff is pretty intense. But for Adventure Time, to show one of the most horrifying torture methods, not just even torture, but execution methods that can be possibly conceived. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but that is disturbing. I I can't wait to see Rarity Dash's reaction to that, as well as the vlog for the episode with Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic. He did his vlogs for the episodes and all. I can't wait to see his vlog for that, just to hear what he and his friend, I cannot remember his friend's name at the moment, but just to hear what they have to say about it. Because no joke. Again, no joke, being completely serious here. You have to understand how horrifying that is. I can't say it enough. I can't, like, stop emphasizing that point. If you haven't seen it, I wouldn't suggest. I'm not going to just suggest going and checking out the entire Game of Thrones if you don't want to. Just try to look up that scene. Just look up Game of Thrones Golden Crown. It's from season 1. Look up that scene. It is brutal. And to see, I don't know if this was based specifically off of that, or if this was based on just because it's a torture / execution method in general. But seriously, this is the furthest, the darkest Adventure Time has gone. I completely believe that. And I might be misremembering something. I might be forgetting about something else that happened, but seriously, I can't get over that. But overall, even though this set of episodes had 2 huge WTF episodes, and the other 2 were pretty WTF as well, it was still a fun set. I enjoyed it, and even with the WTF stuff, it was still fun to watch. It was still like it was an experience in a way. I think in the food chain episode, I think I was just like staring in confusion for quite a few minutes at a point there, and I imagined like Connie.exe has stopped working, and it's just like, because that's kind of what happened. It's like my brain just almost kind of shut down with that. What the heck? Hold on, I got distracted by something with my headphones. Ignore that. I get distracted really easily. But yeah, that was an experience of episodes. Okay. Luckily, MLP is season 8 starts today, so maybe that will just clear my head after all of that. Tell me in the comments below, though, what you thought of this set of episodes. What did you think? Could you think of this? Tell me your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie Royal. I'm signing off, and I don't even know what I'm going to do with my life now. See y'all next time.
Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears.